Elon Musk just made the largest precious metals bet in history. $23 billion. Not for Cybertruck production, not for Tesla factories, for something happening 400,000 kilometers above your head. And NASA doesn't want you to know about it. What I'm about to reveal isn't speculation about electric vehicle manufacturing or social media acquisitions. This is about the most ambitious resource extraction operation ever conceived. An operation that requires more silver than Earth can sustainably provide. An operation that will reshape not just global markets, but the entire future of human civilization. The first clue appeared in commodity trading records 3 weeks ago. Anonymous silver futures purchases. Volumes that defied normal market logic. Individual contracts worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Executed through shell companies with names like Orbital Resources LLC and Celestial Mining Holdings. The pattern was unusual enough to trigger automated monitoring systems at major commodities exchanges. Someone with unlimited capital was systematically acquiring silver futures contracts at any price, not buying for immediate delivery, not hedging existing positions, just accumulating claims on future silver production with no apparent connection to traditional industrial demand. By the end of week 1, the anonymous buyer had committed to purchasing 847 million ounces of silver over the next 18 months. That's more than 30% of global annual silver production. Contracted at prices ranging from current market rates to 15% above spot. The market couldn't understand who had both the capital and the motivation for silver acquisition on this scale. Then the forensic accountants started tracing the shell companies. Corporate registrations that led to holding companies that led to investment vehicles that eventually led to a single source of funding. SpaceX. Elon Musk wasn't just buying silver for Tesla's electric vehicle production. He was cornering global silver markets for something much more ambitious. Something that NASA has been planning in secret for over 2 years. Project Mars Silver Initiative. The leaked NASA document that exposed this operation was never supposed to see daylight. Classification level, top secret sensitive compartmented information. Distribution, need to know only. Estimated declassification date, 2074. Someone decided the public deserved to know what their space agency was really planning. And what they're planning will change everything we thought we understood about space exploration, resource scarcity, and the future of human civilization. Project Mars. Silver Initiative isn't about Mars. Despite the name, the primary objective is lunar mining operations designed to extract precious metals that are becoming scarce on Earth. Silver, specifically. The moon contains concentrated deposits of silver in quantities that dwarf terrestrial reserves. Meteorite impacts over billions of years deposited silver-rich materials across the lunar surface in concentrations that make terrestrial mining operations look insignificant by comparison. NASA's geological surveys, conducted through robotic missions and lunar sample analysis, identified specific regions of the moon where silver concentrations exceed 4,000 parts per million. Compare that to Earth's richest silver mines, which average 200 to 300 parts per million. The moon is a silver treasure chest that's been waiting for someone with the technology and ambition to unlock it. Elon Musk is that someone. But here's what makes this operation so urgent, so secretive, and so potentially catastrophic for global markets. Earth is running out of silver faster than anyone publicly admits. The demand projections are staggering. Solar panel production requires 20% more silver annually. Electric vehicle manufacturing is consuming silver at accelerating rates. Electronics production shows no signs of slowing. Military and aerospace applications are expanding. Meanwhile, silver mining production is plateauing. Easy-to-extract deposits have been exhausted. New mines take years to develop and produce lower-grade ore. Recycling provides some supply, but nowhere near enough to meet industrial demand. The math doesn't work. Global silver consumption will exceed mining production by increasingly large margins over the next decade. Industrial civilization, as we know it, depends on silver availability that simply won't exist, unless someone finds a new source of silver. A source big enough to meet humanity's growing needs for centuries rather than years. And the moon is that source, and Musk is positioning SpaceX to control it. The $23 billion silver acquisition isn't about stockpiling terrestrial metal for SpaceX operations. It's about corner the global silver market to create artificial scarcity that justifies the enormous costs of lunar mining development. Think about the economics. Launching mining equipment to the moon costs billions of dollars. Developing extraction technology for lunar operations requires years of research and testing. Building the infrastructure to transport silver back to Earth demands technological capabilities that don't currently exist. Now, these investments only make financial sense if silver prices increase dramatically. If terrestrial silver becomes so expensive that lunar extraction becomes competitive by comparison. Musk is artificially creating that price environment by removing massive quantities of silver from global markets through futures contracts that ensure supply scarcity over the next 2 years. Higher silver prices justify lunar mining investments. Lunar mining operations provide SpaceX with monopoly control over the most valuable industrial metal in human civilization. It's economic manipulation on a scale that makes oil cartels look like neighborhood lemonade stands. But the leaked NASA documents reveal something even more disturbing. Project Mars Silver Initiative includes provisions for strategic resource denial to competing national space programs. Translation: SpaceX won't just control lunar silver extraction, they'll actively prevent other countries from accessing lunar resources. Chinese space program developing lunar capabilities. SpaceX will establish mining claims that block their access to the richest deposits. Russian space agency planning lunar missions. SpaceX will already occupy the prime locations. European Space Agency considering lunar resource extraction. They'll find that SpaceX has illegal claims to everything worth mining. This isn't just about business competition. This is about establishing American corporate control over extraterrestrial resources that could determine the future balance of global power. The country that controls lunar silver controls industrial civilization on Earth. Musk is positioning SpaceX to be that controller, and the timeline is accelerating faster than anyone expected. SpaceX's Starship program isn't just about Mars colonization or satellite deployment. The heavy lift capabilities being developed are specifically designed for lunar mining operations. The spacecraft can carry the equipment needed to establish mining bases and transport extracted materials back to Earth. Recent SpaceX launches have included undisclosed payloads that intelligence sources suggest are related to lunar resource assessment. Robotic systems designed to conduct detailed surveys of silver-rich lunar regions. Navigation and communication equipment for future mining operations. SpaceX isn't just planning lunar mining, they're actively preparing for it. The first mining operations are scheduled to begin within 3 years, not decades, not sometime in the distant future. 3 years. By 2027, if SpaceX's timeline holds, the first shipments of lunar silver will arrive on Earth. Quantities that will immediately reshape global precious metals markets and industrial supply chains. But here's where this becomes a crisis rather than just an ambitious business venture. Other countries are not going to passively accept American corporate control over lunar resources. China's space program has accelerated their own lunar missions in direct response to intelligence about SpaceX's mining plans. Their next lunar landing will include resource extraction equipment and territorial claim establishment capabilities. Russia has announced sovereign resource protection missions to the moon, military-grade spacecraft designed to defend Russian interests in extraterrestrial territories. India, Japan, and the European Space Agency have all quietly increased funding for lunar programs with timelines that coincidentally align with SpaceX's mining operation schedule. What we're seeing isn't just space exploration, we're seeing the beginning of the first extraterrestrial resource war. And Musk triggered it by cornering the terrestrial silver market to justify lunar mining investments. The implications go far beyond space policy or resource economics. Whoever controls lunar silver will have unprecedented leverage over every country that depends on industrial technology. Electric vehicles, solar panels, electronics, military equipment, medical devices, all of these depend on silver. All of these become hostage to whoever controls silver supplies. If SpaceX establishes monopoly control over lunar silver, they can determine which countries have access to the materials needed for industrial development and which countries don't. Chinese electronics manufacturing becomes dependent on SpaceX's willingness to sell them silver. European renewable energy programs require SpaceX approval. American national defense depends on a private corporation's resource allocation decisions. This level of corporate power over national economies has never existed before, and it's happening with minimal government oversight or public awareness. NASA's role in this operation reveals how deeply the U.S. government is committed to establishing American control over lunar resources through SpaceX as a proxy. The Mars Silver Initiative provides SpaceX with technical support, regulatory clearance, and intelligence sharing that would normally be reserved for government agencies. SpaceX gets access to decades of NASA research and development at no cost, while maintaining private ownership of all extracted resources. It's corporate welfare on a cosmic scale. American taxpayers are subsidizing SpaceX's development of lunar mining capabilities that will generate trillions in private profits while establishing American strategic dominance over extraterrestrial resources. But the operation faces technical challenges that could derail the entire timeline. Lunar mining requires technology that doesn't exist yet. Extracting silver from lunar regolith in the vacuum of space with extreme temperature variations and no atmospheric pressure. Processing raw materials into refined silver without Earth-based industrial infrastructure. Transporting massive quantities of metal across 400,000 kilometers of space. Each of these challenges represents technological hurdles that could take decades to solve. SpaceX is betting that their engineering capabilities can compress that timeline to 3 years. If they succeed, they control the future of human civilization. If they fail, $23 billion in silver contracts become worthless, and global silver markets crash as artificial scarcity disappears. The financial risks are enormous, but so are the rewards. And Musk has a track record of achieving technological breakthroughs that experts considered impossible. Electric vehicles, reusable rockets, global satellite internet, all dismissed as unrealistic until SpaceX made them routine. Lunar silver mining might be the next impossible thing that becomes inevitable, but there's another risk that nobody's discussing publicly. What happens if other countries decide that American corporate control over lunar resources poses an existential threat to their national security? Military responses to SpaceX's lunar operations become possible. Spacecraft carrying mining equipment become legitimate targets for countries that consider lunar resource control an act of economic warfare. We could see the first military conflict in space triggered by competition over silver mining rights. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 prohibits national appropriation of celestial bodies, but it doesn't clearly address private corporate resource extraction. SpaceX is exploiting that legal ambiguity to establish mining claims that other countries might not recognize as legitimate. International law in space is about to be tested by the largest corporate resource grab in human history. Meanwhile, the effects of Musk's silver acquisition strategy are already reshaping terrestrial markets in ways that most investors don't understand. Silver prices have increased 34% over the past 3 weeks, not because of increased industrial demand or reduced mining production, because SpaceX has contracted to purchase massive quantities of future silver production at guaranteed prices. Mining companies worldwide are struggling to fulfill contracts with traditional industrial customers because their future production is already committed to SpaceX's shell companies. Electronics manufacturers are facing silver shortages that threaten production schedules. Solar panel producers are redesigning products to use less silver because they can't source adequate supplies. Automotive companies are delaying electric vehicle launches because critical components require silver that isn't available. Musk's lunar mining preparation is already causing terrestrial supply chain disruptions. And this is just the beginning. As SpaceX's timeline accelerates and lunar operations become imminent, the artificial scarcity will intensify. Silver prices could double or triple before the first lunar shipments arrive. Industrial manufacturers will face impossible choices between paying premium prices for scarce materials or redesigning products to eliminate silver requirements entirely. The global economy is being restructured to accommodate one company's extraterrestrial ambitions. But here's the most disturbing aspect of this operation. The public has no say in whether private corporations should control resources that determine the future of human civilization. SpaceX is making decisions about lunar mining, resource allocation, and technological development that will affect every person on Earth. Without democratic input, without regulatory oversight, without consideration of global consequences, Musk is essentially making himself dictator of human civilization's material future. And he's doing it through market manipulation that most people don't even know is happening. The $23 billion silver acquisition is just the first phase. Once lunar mining operations begin, SpaceX will control the flow of silver that determines which technologies can be developed, which countries can access industrial materials, and which companies can compete in silver-dependent industries. Corporate control over civilization's most critical resources, established through market manipulation and technological ambition. This is how democracy ends, not with political coups or military invasions, but with private corporations gaining control over the materials that modern life depends on. And it's happening right now while everyone focuses on Twitter acquisitions and electric vehicle sales. The leaked NASA documents contain one final detail that should terrify anyone who understands its implications. Project Mars Silver Initiative includes provisions for permanent human presence on lunar mining facilities, not temporary operations, not robotic extraction. Permanent colonies designed to establish territorial sovereignty through continuous occupation. SpaceX isn't just planning to mine the moon, they're planning to colonize it. American corporate colonies on the moon, established through NASA partnership and protected by security contractors that look suspiciously like private military companies. The final frontier becomes the first corporate territory. Lunar resources controlled by American private enterprise, while other countries are systematically excluded from extraterrestrial development. This is colonialism in space, and it's being funded through manipulation of Earth's silver markets. The $23 billion bet isn't just about precious metals. It's about the future of human civilization and who controls it. Musk is betting that technological ambition and market manipulation can establish permanent American corporate dominance over resources that will determine humanity's future for centuries. The clock is ticking toward the first lunar mining operations. 3 years to establish the infrastructure that will reshape global power dynamics forever. And most people don't even know it's happening. The space race just became a resource race. And one man is trying to win it by cornering Earth's silver markets while planning to control the moon's. The question isn't whether lunar mining is technologically possible. The question is whether humanity will allow private corporations to own the future. $23 billion in silver contracts is Elon Musk's answer to that question. The moon belongs to whoever gets there first with the technology to extract its resources. SpaceX intends to be first. The leaked NASA documents prove they have government support. The silver acquisition proves they have the capital. All that remains is the execution. 3 years until the most important moment in human history. The moment when extraterrestrial resources become available to whoever controls the technology to extract them. And right now, that someone is Elon Musk.